ahead and take a seat this morning. Go ahead and take a seat this morning. Yes, somebody prayed that you were so good looking, so that's amazing. That's right. That's right. Closure culture. Closure is absolutely needed in every relationship. There's always needs to be an end to what is so that you can enter to what God has. Because the future you and the present you cannot sit in the same seat. What you want and what God wants cannot fill up the same space. Your desires and God's will are fighting for the same space in your heart. And the only way that we can make room for what God has for us is by letting go of what we want for us. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever gone through a messy breakup? Okay, it already feels like, AA, you know what I mean? So I want all of us to help each other out, because here's the crazy thing about Satan with sin. He always makes you feel like you're the only one that goes through these things. So let's help somebody else. If you've been through a messy breakup, can you just put your hand up and down really quick? Because be like, it hurts, Pastor. It hurts. I know. We've been through messy breakups. We've all been through messy breakups. And maybe not in the romantic sense, because maybe you married your high school sweetheart. Do you know what I'm saying? And you never had a breakup. I mean, I met Crystal when we were, in college, right after high school, but we still went through like 5 messy breakups. I'm not going to tell you whose fault it was, because it doesn't matter. All that matters is that God redeemed it, and she finally heard the voice of God. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's just be honest. I'm not looking that way. Y'all let me know if she looks mad, okay? Please delete this from the video. But maybe not in the romantic, but maybe a breakup in a friendship. Somebody who you thought was always going to be a part of your life that's no longer there. Maybe it's with a career that you thought you had job security forever, and all of a sudden you realized there was a breakup there. Maybe it's in the family sense. Maybe you're no longer as tight with the cousins, or maybe there's something going on right now in your relationship with a parent that it feels like a breakup. And even though all breakups have different depths of reality, and they come because of different circumstances. Sometimes it's our responsibility, sometimes it's not our responsibility. There is a common thread that ties all breakups, and that is that they always bring pain. Can we be honest? All breakups are painful. And some are more painful than others. And the crazy thing about pain is that pain does not know how to come by themselves. He always brings his friends. Pain always comes with anxiety. Pain always comes with insecurity. You're all of a sudden now just second guessing, hey, even though I know I was in the right, was it my fault? Is it about me? Is it them? I know they said it wasn't me, it was them, but it feels like it was me. It brings some bitterness. It brings some unforgiveness. And the truth is we don't get to determine the amount of pain that comes into our lives when there's a break in the relationship, but we do have all the say in how long we stay in that season of pain because of the breakup. And here's the thing, a lot of us, we feel like closure is something that will happen once I feel healthy enough to have the confrontation. But the truth is that unless you step in and have the difficult conversations and wait until you're healthy, you will never actually be healthy. Let me explain that in a different way. If you wait until you feel it to do the right thing, you will never do it, because doing the right thing, you never will actually feel like doing it. You see, we are all born knowing how to cheat. How many parents have like a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old? We're not all teaching them how to be bad. They were born knowing how to steal. Okay? They steal each other's toys. Nobody taught my kids how to break the rules. Like, she was just born like that. What we say is share. What we say is be nice. So sometimes we say, well, I'm going to have the conversation when I feel like doing the right thing. When I'm healthy, then I will have closure. But the truth is, until you have closure, you will not begin the journey of health. You see, every breakup brings pain. Leaving a relationship is painful. But let me give you this thought. Leaving with a purpose is better than staying without one. You see, sometimes we're like, man, like, it's going to be so painful to walk away from this, from them, from that. It will be painful. It will hurt you if you leave, but it might kill you if you stay. Yeah. So it takes a certain level of maturity to be able to say, I just need some closure in our life. The truth about relationships, that relationships are always changing. Can I get an amen? Sometimes you say, no, I like the season that we're in right now, and I hope it never changes. Let me give you a glimpse into your future. Your relationships are going to change because people are always changing. The person that I married 8 years ago is not the same person. She has grown. If it's the same person for the past 8 years, that's a different problem. You see, because growing older is not an option, but maturing is absolutely an option. A lot of us are just getting older, but we're just not getting better. See, we're growing up here and over here. Can I get an amen? We're growing in our spirit. We're growing in our knowledge. And we're intellectual giants, but emotional toddlers. We can have discussions about politics and about the world and about solutions, but we are so unaware of the issues that we have in our own life. So we need some closure. Now, the thing about closure is that it means you have to accept that the relationship has already changed. You see, a lot of us right now are still mounting a dead horse, are still hoping, are still wishing. This man of God was still crying over a great season, over his good old days. Some of us are still wishing and praying for the good old days. I remember, I get Facebook. Anybody on Facebook still? Anyways, just me? Okay, great. I get invitations to my high school reunions. And I didn't realize it had been so long since I graduated. It makes you feel a little old. And you're like, word? Already? You saw the 5 year, then you saw like the 10 year. It just keeps going and going and going. And there are some people that are all about it. They want to go back. And they want to see and talk about, man, all the cool things. And the truth is, people tell me, well, Pastor Abe, it's all good. They just want to see their old friends. No, people want to go back not to see their old friends. They want to see their old selves. They want to go back and see who we were and how cool we were and how in shape we were. So we refuse to close certain chapters, but it keeps us from growing into our future. But let me tell you this thought. Closure means accepting the relationship has changed so we can receive the rewards of change. Every time there's a change in your life, that means there's a growth in your life. That means God's creating room for your life. But the problem is that we get stuck telling God how we want Him to bless us. So we never close chapters because we feel if we walk away from this, God will never know how to reach me. Can I tell you, God knows exactly where you are right now? It's almost like, man, you know, when you're in the grocery store, when I'm at the mall, I tell my wife, I'm going to stand right here and I'm not going to move because I want you to be able to find me. A lot of us, we think that if we move, God will not find us. His presence will not find us. We are afraid to try. We are afraid to dream because we are enamored not with God, but with the formula that God uses to bless us. But God is saying, I want to change the formula because I want to change the way that I bless you. And today I want to just teach you. Can I just teach you today about closure? So I want you to write 3 thoughts. Number 1, I want you to write this down. Closure is not having to move on. It's choosing not to go back. I'm going to say it again because this is so fresh we didn't even make slates because this is like fresh bread. Not that bread is really good for you, but this is the bread of life. I'm going to say it again. Closure is not having to move on. It's choosing not to go back. The Bible says in Mark 11:12, it says, on the following day, when they came from Bethany, he was hungry. He's talking about Jesus and the disciples. So Jesus was hungry. And seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to see if he could find anything on it. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves. For it was not the season for figs. And he said to it, may no one ever eat fruit from you again. And his disciples heard it. Okay, maybe you were just like, okay, pastor, like, explain this to me. Jesus got hungry. That's biblical. And he saw a tree, a fig tree. And he said, oh, that's me. And he went to the fig tree, and he was looking for some figs, and it realized that there was no figs in the fig tree because it wasn't even seasoned. So you know what Jesus did with Jesus' powers? He cursed the tree and says, die. Have you ever been to a restaurant that is closed and you're just like, die? You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just like, update your Yelp, people. Like, update, like, that's the worst. It says open and you're just like, die. You know what I'm saying? Jesus came to that tree and it says, just die. No one is going to mess with you anymore. No. And everybody's like, Lord, it's not even seed. Okay, so let me explain this to you what happens. Jesus sees a fig tree and it's full of leaves, and he assumes that there is fruit on it. And he comes in and it was fake. Can I tell you this to you? Even fake things look real from a distance. I'm going to say that again about the people in your life. Even fake people look real on their Instagram. Posting those cars that are probably their cousin's cars. Okay? Posting these things that are photoshopped, and I don't know what the apps are because I definitely don't use them. Contouring their face, shaping their bodies, but you can't shake a bad attitude. So even something that is fake looks real from a distance. Some of you are making promises and commitments to people that you see from afar. Just wait till you get up close. Now, oh yeah, one clap, we all clap. Y'all know the culture. So what did Jesus do? He had to get close because the thought is you have to inspect what you expect. You have to get up close so there is no room for a gray area. Like you have to, what does it mean to get close? Having the tough conversations, like who is sitting across the table from me in this relationship? I know you look good, but trust me, everybody looks good on their first date. Who you see on the first date, it's not really them. Okay? My kids are changing. They were all cute and quiet. Now my baby tiger, you will hear her today from the kids' room screaming, praising the Lord. He had to get up close. And then when he got in, there was no fruit. Have you ever met someone and after the second, third time, I'm not even talking the romantic sense. Maybe it's a couple that you saw and, oh my God, we need some couple friends. And you get close to them and all of a sudden you start seeing they have funky attitudes. They disrespect one another. Their children are just loud and dirty. And they're over here like, they never even like fake trying to pick up the bill. You know what I'm saying? At least fake it. At least fake it. No, I got it. No, I got it. And like your wallet's over here, but you're keeping in your left pocket. It's just a chapstick in there, bro. Like, how are you going to pay? Bad attitudes, but you have to get up close. And then there was no figs on that tree. And you know what he said? Die. Now, there was the disciples that took pity on the tree. There's always those friends, hey, don't be gacho. Gacho is Greek for, mean. Don't be like that. This tree is going through a rough season right now. It's not even like fruitful season right now. Why are you mad at them? They're not the same. Be careful not to be unequally yoked with people that are not in the same season as you. Okay, let me tell you this. You will never be fed the fruit you need from people in an unfruitful season. It is what it is. It may not be their season, but don't you delay your blessing because they're delaying their process. Don't you delay God's promise because they're choosing not to be fruitful. So Jesus showed up and says, hey, die. He cursed the ground on where that tree was. What did he do? He said, we're going to have some closure right now. We're going to shut the door. We're going to close the door. And it doesn't say, I'm not going in. No. So what is the statement? It's not having to move on. It's choosing not to go back. It says no one is going to come back to this tree and be disappointed in this way. What I love about God is that God's faith is just so holistic. But we have to understand that because the moment God opens a door, that means he closed another one. Be careful when you pray for God to open a door, because what you're really saying is, God, can you close another one? Because God's not going to open a door without closing another one. That's how he does it. So what he said is this: I'm going to close some doors in your life. I know we always praise God because he's the God who opens doors, but I praise him because he's the God who closes them. Let me tell you this. I know you don't like to hear it, but God is closing doors in your life. But the only doors that he is closing are the doors that lead you back to the person you used to be. And how does he do that? The people that used to give you the pity parties no longer give you pity parties. Or that hookup that whenever you were broke and you spent all your money at the club and you would hit them up for money, all of a sudden they don't want to give you money anymore. Okay? All the people that used to vomit all your gossip till 3 o'clock in the morning, they're telling you, hey, you know what, homie, like I got a real job, I got like real problems, and all of a sudden God cancels and God closes the doors on things that are enabling you to become the person that you used to be. Now, this is what I pray for your life. That you will pray to God that he will give you closure in relationships. Maybe not just with people around you, but with habits. Oh God, you know what? I love having fun. I love being out till 3 o'clock in the morning, but I hate how I feel the next day. I pray that what you hate brings more weight than what you like about the toxic habits in your life. I know we like to party, but I pray that you be so mindful about how bad you feel the next day. I know that sometimes we enjoy a good gossip, but I pray that you realize that every time you gossip, it hurts your friends, and that pain is so real that you don't even enjoy the gossip anymore. That you don't even enjoy talking about people's backs. You don't even enjoy going out there and do. You know what's crazy about becoming a Christian? It's not that you're not allowed to go back and sin. It's that you just don't enjoy it anymore because you know better. God ruins you because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Try it. So when you go to a church and your pastor tells you, hey, you go back and twerking for Jesus and all these things, and you feel all convicted, you're like, okay, that was fun, that was cool. And watch you try to go back, you ain't gonna enjoy it. You're gonna hear my accent voice and be like, he says something about the club, and I think he said it in Spanish, I don't know. But when you hear God's voice, it gets stuck in you. Now, it comes for the closed doors, but also it sticks with you that you have a promise, and God's promises are permanent. And if he told you, don't go back because there's nothing behind you that is better than what's ahead of you, I will shut these doors so fast because I want what's ahead. Clap like you know. We got to close some doors behind us. The second thought I want you to write down is that closure culture is not cancel culture. Closure culture is not cancel culture. You can have healthy closure without wishing them to die. Okay? You can have healthy closure with people and leave them behind and not pray that only bad things happen to them. Okay? It's closure culture. I'm going to read to you a lengthy portion of the Bible. It's about King David. And this is what it's in 2 Samuel chapter 12. I'm going to read from verse 15. I'm going to read it quick so you guys can kind of listen to the story. And it says, and the Lord caused the son of David and Bathsheba, Uriah's widow, to be very sick. So the Lord caused for David's son to be very sick. David prayed to God for the baby. And David fasted and went into his house and stayed there, lying on the ground all night. And the elders of David's family came to him and tried to pull him up from the ground. But he refused to get up to eat food with them. And on the seventh day, the baby died. David's servants were afraid to tell him that the baby was dead. And they said, look, we tried to talk to David while the baby was alive, but he refused to listen to us. And if we tell him the baby is dead, he may do something awful. And when David saw his servants' whisperings, he knew that the baby was dead. So he asked them, is the baby dead? And they answered, yes, he is dead. And then David got up from the floor, washed himself, put lotions on, and changed his clothes. And then he went into the Lord's house to worship. And after that, he went home and asked for something to eat. And his servants gave him some food and ate. And David's servant said to him, check this out, says, why are you doing this? When the baby was still alive, you fasted and you cried. And now the baby is dead. You get up and eat food. And David said, while the baby was still alive, I fasted and I cried because I thought, who knows, maybe the Lord will feel sorry for me and let the baby live. But now that the baby is dead, why should I fast? I can't bring him back to life. Someday I will go to him, but he cannot come back to me. You see, what we have to understand sometimes is that God will take people from our lives to create room for somebody else. And you see, when there is a break in the relationship and you're going through the pain and the struggle of holding on and holding on and holding on to this person, you will create what is called a soul tie. Your souls are tied. This is why so many of us can't leave certain jobs, not because the pay is good, but you're so relationally tied to the people there that you cannot picture yourself going anywhere else because you don't truly believe that God has something better for you. The truth is that if God actually showed you how good your life is and your future, most of us wouldn't actually believe it. We will look at the cars, we will look at the relationships, we will look at our bodies, we will look at our mental health, and we would say, that's not God. They're selling me an image that it's not possible. But thank God that we deal with a God who creates things that seem impossible to us. Can I tell you this thought? Impossible is just a word for people who have no faith. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in impossible because I have God. People say, that's impossible. And I say, for us it may be, but not for God. You see, David came, and while the baby, his son, his relationship that he loved was alive, he treated it like so. But when the baby passed, then his actions and his attitude began to change. Can I tell you, a lot of relationships die because you treat it as if it was dead while it's still alive. We fight when it's too late. It's like you don't know what you have until it's gone, and you want to treat it like it's alive. Like, have you ever finally broken up with a person, and then now they realize that they're really, really in love with you, they begin to call you? The truth is that it's too late. Crystal said it brilliantly last week. It's never too early to have the important conversations, but it can be too late to have them. Yeah. And you see, David knew at this point, I need to make an announcement to my people that I am aware that this relationship is over. Because they said, man, if we tell him that it's over, he might act a fool, because people know that when you get your heart broken, you begin acting a fool. And they know what you do, and the spots where you go, and the things that you drink, and the things that you post. All of a sudden, you're feeling yourself, and you're posting throwbacks, and you're like, why are you posting these throwbacks? Because you want to go back in time. But David said, I need to announce to the world that I know the season that I'm in right now. Can I tell you this about relationships? Relationships are all about acknowledgement. I'm going to say this right now because a lot of relationships that you don't have clarity in what you are. You're like, what are we? Who are we? Like I know we're not about titles, but fellas, let me tell you, I don't care. You still need to honor them and cover them with an acknowledgement. Okay, this is why when you get married, I bought my wife a ring and I got it carved into my finger. You know what I'm saying? Because if she leaves me, I'm going with her. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm branded for life. Like, where's your ring? It's scarred into my life. This isn't Chula Vista. This is Crystal Victoria. People think I'll be banging in the streets and be, yo, CV. No. That's the old me. That's the old pastor. I wasn't always saved. You know what I'm saying? Just kidding. It's Crystal Victoria. So why did I put a ring on it? Because when she goes to the mall looking all cute, and I get mad. She she goes out and I'm like, babe, you really want to wear your workout clothes out there, to Costco, for real? Do you know what I mean? And she looks all good and she's out there. I want every guy to know to shop somewhere else because that shop is closed. I want everybody to know. And she knows we're in the car. She's like, babe, I forgot my ring. I'm like, U-turn real quick. I don't care. We're halfway down to Vegas. We're going back. I want everybody to know because there's an acknowledgement. When we were dating, I remember the dating part, it's a little on the gray area, right? You can't claim it. My mother-in-law told me, hey, don't get all mad. It's free game until you put a ring on it. I was like, word, Mom? Dang, that's gangster. But I remember when we were dating, like, Crystal comes from, like, an amazing family. They're very well off. And, at the time when we started dating, I shared this a few weeks ago, I didn't have a car. She had a Beamer, and she would pick me up for dates. You know what I'm saying? I was balling on a budget. I worked at Ralph's in the morning, and I cleaned carpets at night. And I went to Southwestern College in the afternoons, okay? And she was an accountant at a mega church with thousands of people. But can you blame her? I mean, look at all this. You know what I'm saying? How's she going to pass it up? Hey, come on. You got to hype yourself up sometimes. And we started dating and started to go out. And then all of a sudden, her dad obviously wanted her to end up with a pastor. She's the pastor's daughter. She would end up with a pastor. So she would ship them away to do internships in different places. She'd been in New York. She'd been in Australia. And all of a sudden, they sent her to Miami. To Miami. Oh, you want to be Bad Bunny boys? Like, ¿qué onda, muchacha? ¿Cómo estamos? And they're just like, I didn't have a promise ring. I didn't have an engagement ring. I was like on layaway, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you know what I did? I knew that she was in an internship at a church, at an amazing church, and the pastor had like 3 thirsty, like, young men, and I know what my father-in-law was doing. I knew what he was doing. So she was out there, and I'm over here in San Diego like, man, what am I going to do? Yeah, I got no money, but I got a mind. So you know what I did? I put all my money, which wasn't a lot, and I ordered like the biggest arrangement of flowers that I could find. And I sent it to her, but not to the place where she was staying. I sent it to the corporate offices of the church. So I can imagine the day all these people went, like, this is the day I'm going to talk to Crystal. And all of a sudden that UPS comes, and he gets off with some flowers, and everybody's wondering, is that for me? Who's that for? And I can imagine all those girls, their heart just dropped when he would just walk by and be like, not for you, girl. Keep wishing. And everybody saw that she got. That was an acknowledgement. You see, because when you want to claim somebody in a relationship, there needs to be an acknowledgement. But when you want to claim yourself back from a messy relationship, you got to acknowledge to yourself, okay, that it's over in a healthy way. Because what happens so much is that so many people get their value from relationships, and when the relationship is over, they go through a deep depression because they were never their own source of validation. They were never their own source of encouragement, and they depended on someone. But when that someone left, so did the encouragement. Do you need to send flowers to yourself? Maybe. You need to mark the moments. Every time, I learned this from a young age, I like to have markers in my life. When we have a great Sunday, I make sure we go to a particular restaurant, or I buy myself a jacket, or I buy myself some shoes, or I buy myself something that every time I see that thing, it reminds me of the victory that I had in that season. And right now, some of you are in a single season, maybe an unemployment season, maybe away from my family season, and you're dry of validation and encouragement because you depend from other people to validate you, but whoever gives you validation can take it away. But David said, I know my son is dead, and one day I will be with him, but right now I need to get some food for me. I need to put on some lotion because I smell like desperation. I need to put on some lotion because I smell like self-pity. Some of you be smelling like some things, and everybody around you can smell it but you. You've been living in it for too long. The third thing I want you to write down as we close is simply this. Closure is saying no to something good because you've already said yes to something great. No to the good because you said yes to the great. Matthew 10:11 says, and whatever town or village you enter, find out who is worthy of you, and stay there until you depart. And as you enter the house, greet it, and if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it's not worthy, let your peace return to you. And if anyone will not receive you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet when you leave that place. Stop spending too much time in places that are not worthy of you, with people who don't understand the high price that was paid for your life. Stop giving yourself to people that don't understand that you are royalty. I think of my daughters all the time, and I pray for their future husbands, that they see them as, not I see them, but as God sees them, as a daughter of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. That somebody would understand that it should take effort and pride and commitment to even go on a date with one of my kids. And I got a lot of crazy friends, so you better watch out too. You can say no to something good because you've already said yes to something great. There's this great statement that says, fences make good neighbors. Fences make good neighbors. What does that mean? Good relationships require healthy boundaries. It's not about creating division, but it's about just saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, we used to relationally live together as friends, as a couple, but you don't live here anymore, so you don't get boyfriend privileges without the boyfriend acknowledgement. You don't get the king or queen treatment without the king or queen contribution. Because yes, I love you, but I love me more. I love you, but I love me more. Sometimes we think it's weird to love ourselves, but you need to love yourself. Because you cannot love others more than you love yourself. God says, love your neighbor as yourself. People who can't love others correctly don't love themselves correctly. People who cannot give compliments don't compliment themselves. So you build a fence of healthy boundaries and say, hey, I know we were and I know it was, but right now I've just put up a brand new fence. It don't mean that you cannot visit, you just cannot stay. It don't mean that you cannot come to visit and buy me some bread and like watch a movie, but you just cannot stay. I'm not just talking physical, I'm talking relationally. Why? Because it says, if they're not worthy of you, take your peace back. You see, relationships that cost money, that's easy. You should be generous. You should pick up the tab. You should buy gifts. But if it costs you your peace, that is too pricey. Oh, no. Yeah, if you pay for the bill and you're stressing like, man, oh yeah, there you go. Hey, if you went above and beyond this week and you paid for the meal because you were just trying to ball out and you're like, my God, it was like $150. I'm like, how am I going to pay it back? God's going to repay it to you. Because those who give generously, like everyone was saying, like God's going to give them to them generously. But you know what? You can't give back all the peace that you give all these people. God is saying you can say no to what's good because you already said yes to what's great. It's not about being fake it until you make it. It's about staying faithful until you see it. It's not about you showing up and like, oh, I come to church and I'm faking happy. No. You're not being fake right now, even if you didn't feel like being here. You're just being faithful to the commitment. You said probably 3 months ago saying, I'm going to stay committed. So you're not being fake. You're just being faithful. Faithful is not so much about feelings as it is about a covenant. Trust me, I know my wife don't always feel me all the time. She'll look at me like, really? You wearing that? You know what I'm saying? But don't mean that she has the right to not go out and shop around. Same thing with me. Same thing with you. It's about the faithfulness. It's not about faking it. You won't always feel it. You got to build some fences. Why? Because you already said yes to something great. God has a call for your life that is amazing. But it says you need to have some closure with what was and close some doors that lead you to your past. Hey, it will hurt to leave, but it will kill to stay. It's better to leave with a purpose than to stay without one. I'm going to invite you to stand with me today.